Here we are starting 4.5 day 2, and it is another day of graphing, but this time we're going to be working with tangent and cotangent. So you're going to find that the format of this lesson today is almost identical to the format of the lesson yesterday, just that we're replacing cosecant, secant with tangent, cotangent, because the way that you graph these two is going to be really similar. They're similar to each other. Now, before we get into that, kind of like we did last lesson, we're going to talk about how do we, just use what we know about tangent to decide when we have vertical asymptotes and such. So I want to draw your attention to the definitions on the unit circle for sine, cosine, and tangent, and just make note of the fact that we're going to define it in a little bit different way. Now, this will be the last time we redefine it, but keeping in mind here that sine is y, cosine is x, and this is assuming we're on the unit circle where the hypotenuse is 1. Tangent is y over x. So you see this down here, this is a way to rewrite tangent as being sine over cosine because y and x represent sine and cosine in this case. So that's just essentially y over x in the way that we put it right here. So sine divided by cosine is another way of writing tangent. Now, since tangent and cotangent are inverses of each other, are reciprocals of each other, then we can just flip this, and cotangent is cosine divided by sine. So that is going to be an interesting part to what we do with tangent and cotangent here. We're going to be looking again for when they're undefined. So now we look over here. Tangent is undefined when what happens? Well, anything is undefined when the denominator equals 0. So for tangent, it's when cosine equals 0. So we're going to somehow use the cosine graph to help us a little bit with tangent. And then in a similar way, cotangent has sine in the denominator. So whenever sine is equal to 0, that's when cotangent is going to be undefined, and those will correspond to vertical asymptotes on the graph.